Cecil, you doing okay this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you guys this morning?
We're doing fine. I appreciate it. Yeah, Alabama's playing hard. That's what you want them to do, and I think they're what I refer to getting more cheap baskets under this situation and regime, I guess, compared to others. And I think they're getting the most out of the talent.
Yeah, I think that they are. They've had some close games, but you got to be in a situation to be close at the end to win those games. The guy misses 2 free throws, and people say, "Oh, well, that's luck." Well, if you were down 10 points, it wouldn't make any difference. You did enough to be there at the end, and the guy put a guy in a pressure situation, and they were able to overcome. Not some great offense down the stretch because they had built enough of a lead to win. So that's how you win games. You put yourself in the situation at the end, and either you make a play, the other guy doesn't make a play, and makes a big difference in what your record is.
Yep.
Cecil, I want to ask you, I asked you this last night, and I actually asked Dad early in the show, but I know you've covered all these guys over there, but Retton Obasahan, I think nobody's really said this. I think Daison Ingram's injury may have helped him because now he gets to get the ball in his hands more. The new rules, you can't put your hands on him. He's so explosive. But I think he's made as much improvement of anybody I've ever seen from his junior to the senior year. I asked you last night, I know Spreewell, he came in, trust me, after his junior year, he was not on the NBA's radar. Kind of compare both of those guys' improvement. And is there one that improved more than the other? They both have done a tremendous job from their junior to senior year.
Well, I think, it's difficult to put a percentage on which one improved more. But here's what I'll say about both of them and why they improved, and Avery touched on this last night with Retton, and of course your dad can touch on it with Latrell, is that they made up their mind after their junior year that they wanted to be better. And so they were extremely coachable going into their senior year. In Retton's case, even though he had a new coach, Avery said, he coaches Retton harder than anybody on the team. He's harder on him. It's tougher in practice. He said a lot of guys would quit, but you can't make a guy like that quit, just like Latrell. You could tell him to shoot 1,000 shots in the gym. He'd go shoot 1,000 shots. And you couldn't make him quit because he had a goal in mind of improving as a basketball player and getting to the NBA. So those guys are extremely coachable, and they absorb the coaching, and that's what makes them better. What keeps players from improving in a lot of instances is they aren't coachable. They want to do things the way that they did it in high school or the way they feel like they should do it. And so they spend more time fighting with the coach, and I don't necessarily mean shouting and screaming, but not doing what the coach wants them to do, and so they don't get better. Whereas guys who are extremely coachable and extremely motivated to improve and recognize that the coach wants to help them do that, then they can make those kind of advances.
Well, I think that's pretty, because of the incident that happened to him in the pros, that people don't realize how coachable he was. You make a good point there. He was a guy who spent a lot of time in the gymnasium in the summer working on his shot, doing a lot of different things with it. And so he worked hard. I never did have any trouble with him. He did whatever we did, he did, and I never had to fuss at him. One time he was a little bit late for the bus at LSU, and I don't think I started until right after the national anthem. But he just didn't give me any trouble. But when you think about him in the light of people that think about Alabama basketball, if anybody else still does, back when I was there, you think about, I bet Coach had a hard time with him, but I really did.
No, that was always my memory of Spree, and what happened in the NBA happened, but that wasn't the perception I had of him covering him as an athlete here.
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of good chances to hit me, I promise you.
Yeah, I can't. He hit PJ. It didn't hit you. I'm sure he wanted to hit you. He just had enough money to pay the lawsuit to hit the other guy.
I won't argue that.
All right, Cecil, I like to look at the RPIs. I just pulled it up, and I know there's 100 different websites. I'm on CBS. I'm actually shocked. Do you know who the number one team right now today in the RPI is?
Yeah, Oregon.
Which Alabama obviously had a great chance to beat. But then you look at down the line, you got South Carolina's right in there in the top 25. Texas A&M in the top 25. I think Alabama's put themselves in position. I understand it's going to be hard to go win at Florida and at LSU, but they're in the conversation based on what they've done, where in the past they haven't had any of these top 25, top 50 wins to kind of have on their resume. If they can string 2 or 3, 4 more, good wins together, this team could make the tournament, couldn't they?
They could. First of all, and people need to understand, people always look at a team in mid-February. Some of it has to do with what other teams do as well.
Sure.
You want certain other teams to lose some games. You want Oregon. Now, if you're Alabama, you want Oregon to keep winning because it helps your RPI. So I do think what Alabama needs to do first is defend its home court in the 3 games it has left, which are very winnable games against Mississippi State and Auburn, who are not the best teams in the league, and then Arkansas has not played well away from home. Traditionally, under Mike Anderson, you still got to go out and play all 3 of those teams. They all have talent. Mississippi State just dominated Arkansas night before last, and has gotten better over the course of the year. Ben's a very good coach, Ben Howland. So none of those games are easy, but you need to defend your home court. And then you've got 4 road games, and I think you would really, in Alabama's case, if you could find a way to get one of those, and I'm not saying, it's Florida, it's LSU, whichever one it is, and get a road win where you could finish 9-9 in the league, I think that would really give you an argument anyway, based on what some of the other teams were. And it might be that you're in the playoff round in Dayton, the opening round. That's still the tournament. You're still in. So you want to put yourself in a position where you're in the conversation and hope that the teams that you've beaten, like Notre Dame, beating North Carolina the other day, this weekend, that's a big win for Alabama. Yeah. You want Notre Dame to win. You want Wichita to keep winning. You want South Carolina to keep winning, and have those wins count even more for you in the conversation.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's difficult to ever know exactly what upsets we have with other teams, and that sometimes a team that's going to go to the NCAA tournament does do very well in their own tournament. So instead of having 1 from that league, you have 2. And that varies from year to year, so you don't really know exactly how that goes. One other thing, how is it? And I know how it is to work with Avery. I think he's easier to work with as you get. This is kind of an off subject deal. Is working not working, but interviewing and doing what you need to do with Nick Saban similar to Coach Bryant, or is it totally different?
First off, it's a little bit different because I certainly have tremendous professional respect for Nick Saban. He's been no problem for me to work with, and I recognize that he's probably the greatest coach, certainly of his generation. But I'm not quite scared to death of him the way I was Coach Bryant.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, right.
That's a little different, and that's just natural. Coach Bryant was Coach Bryant, and I'd grown up in this state, and I was 23 years old, and so it was a little bit different relationship. Coach Saban and I are relatively close in age, and I've been in the profession a lot longer. So from that standpoint, it's different. I certainly have a relationship with Coach Saban where I can, in a case of necessity, I can pick up a telephone and get a call back, and that wasn't something you'd ever dream of with Coach Bryant. At the same time, I think Coach Bryant understood that, and understood the young reporters, and tried to be helpful when he could, but times were so different. I can't imagine Coach Bryant handling the media demands that Coach Saban has to handle, particularly the championship game, those playoff games. Yeah. It's unbelievable. The hour-long press conferences day after day that you have to do, Coach Bryant. That would not be in his list of correct.
Well, those are great answers, but those are great answers. Of course, I was there with you, but I think the funny part for me as I look at it is that you guys, not necessarily you all the time, but some, would go from office to office, maybe talk to Mal, talk to,
sure.
And of course that never occurs now. And I was interested to see what Kirby did when he went to Georgia. if he thought that was a good idea or a bad idea. And I think in some ways it's maybe a good idea to have one person talk. In your line of job, it's probably not a good idea. But that's kind of an interesting deal there between both those coaches and the way they did things with their assistants.
Yeah, it's just such a different time, media-wise. But Coach Brown, I don't think it ever bothered him. Now you could sit down there with you could talk to Mal. You could sit down there with Ken all day long, and you weren't going to get 3 words.
No, you weren't going to get
anyway. You're going to listen to a projector running. That's exactly
right. You're going to have an index card there, right?
You think it'd be a little different if you got to go in there and sit down with Lane Kiffin? You think you might can get something out of him?
Probably so, but Lane's been a head coach, and he understands that. But he's probably just as happy to have Coach Saban's rules in effect, where he doesn't have to fool with that.
Yeah. See, so I want to get your take about Louisville's situation and Rick Pitino. I personally don't like where they can come in. There's 10 games left in the season and say, all right, we're going to give up the tournament this year. Everybody says, oh, that's a big blow. And it is to the kids that are there. But they do that hoping that the NCAA will let off of them. It won't affect recruiting. If you really want to hit the school, you put it next year or the next 2 years, where now any signee can get out of it. I just want to get your take on what happened in Louisville, and do you think that's the correct way to do it? Let the school sanction itself that year.
I agree that what you do in that situation, what Louisville has done, whether you think this is the correct thing or the incorrect thing to be, they have sacrificed their seniors for the sake of the kids they're recruiting.
Yeah.
Their seniors, particularly, they have 2 grad transfers.
Yeah.
Who came in there and wanted to make the NCAA tournament, and they've just told them, no, that's it for you. Because we're more concerned about these guys we're recruiting than we are what happens to you. And I do have a little bit of a problem with that. I think once a season starts, you start the season with a status, and you should end the season with that status. If you're eligible with Missouri's in the same case. Nobody makes any point out of Missouri because they're not going to make the NCAA tournament anyway. But I think if you start the season eligible, if you're eligible in your first game, then you're eligible till the end of the year. And any sanctions should come after that. That's just my personal opinion. And it would hurt the school. It would be much more of a penalty for the school to have to recruit with that hanging over them than to say, well, we already took care of that. We took care of that. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm not in favor of it once the season starts.
Right.
For one thing, sometimes people manipulate, because sometimes people, they're not going anywhere anyway. Miami football, in their case, they took a self-imposed bowl ban in a year when they were going to be 6-6 anyway. So what are they really costing themselves?
Yeah, it's like Missouri saying they're not going to go to the NCAA tournament this year. Well, great, you weren't going anyway. So what kind of penalty is that?
I understand. I understand what I think Missouri's got a lot to work through, but I just think that if you start the year eligible, then for your players' sake, you should stay eligible the rest of the year.
That.
I don't really have anything else. I want to tell you what a great job you do, Cecil. I enjoy reading you and appreciate the work that you did when I was there. So I really don't have anything else.
Oh, I appreciate it. Always great to talk basketball. Okay. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, one last thing before we go. We have talked a little basketball there. But just kind of talk about, does when Nick Saban walks in that football building, is he ever inside that building where he just relaxes, or is he just always grinding when he's in that building? The only time he relaxes maybe when he gets out to the lake. Does he ever let up?
I don't think he does at the office, Barry. I really don't. I think, maybe when he gets to Lake Burton or to the beach or something, that he can let up for a few hours. But he's just so competitive and so driven to be successful and so aware that if you stand still, you're going to fall behind. That he doesn't. Certainly not what I've seen in the football building.
I'll tell you what I'll bet you.
He works.
I'll bet you this. I'll bet you that the recruiting nationally, because Coach Bynum did that, his sort of as the years have gone on, just sort of a little bit surprised you. Has it not? Am I wrong? Maybe I know he did. The way they've been able to go about it year after year and recruit nationally has surprised me a little bit. Has it Has it you a little?
It's certainly different,
Yeah.
So it's been a different thing in my experience. But, that's true in basketball now, and it's true in football, that you got to go where the players are. That's what Jim Harbaugh is trying to do at Michigan, go where the players are. So, so they've certainly, you win enough national championships, you can go where you want to.
Go where you want to. Thanks, Cecil.
I'm not sure
it.
they're recruiting. They may be selecting over there and not recruiting. So,
well, believe me, they believe they're recruiting.
I know.
It's hard work.
No, it is. I'm not belittling, but hey, selecting the right 25 is not easy either. So
that's 100% true.
All right. Well, thanks, Cecil.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Cecil.
it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Always great to talk to you.
Thank you.
All right.